Hi everyone, welcome to Mompreneur Space live show podcast where I interview inspiring moms from all around the world so that you can learn from them how they overcome their challenges and struggles as mompreneur. I'm your host Kenneth Chu and today is 115th episode of Mompreneur Space live show podcast. This podcast started with a very simple thought of sharing inspiring mompreneur stories so that mothers that aspire to start your business or be entrepreneur will be able to resonate and start to make a difference in your life or in your family's life. I've also met and come across a lot of amazing mompreneur stories in the past 5 years, which I'm very blessed to be able to share with them on my podcast with you. Today's guest is an amazing mompreneur who was introduced to me by one of my women changemaker friend, Pei Yun. After we met, her vision matched with mine and we really clicked. So get ready to be inspired and empowered in this episode as we dive into the topic of how to build parent-child connection through curiosity. Our guest speaker, Chan Lup Wai, is not only a science coach but also a dedicated mom of two who is passionate about positive parenting and raising curious leaders. After having her first child, Lup Wai decided to homeschool her kids so that she will be able to give them the best possible start in life. However, she soon realized that the journey was not an easy one and often found herself questioning whether she was fit to be a parent or teacher. But with the support and encouragement of those around her, she persevered and now have come out on the other side with a newfound love for parenting and teaching. With her own experience, Lup Wai has also developed a deep understanding of what it takes to build a strong parent-child connection and nurture children with a growth mindset. She believed that science education is a powerful tool in helping children explore the world around them and encourages parents to embrace it as a part of their parenting journey. Join us as Lup Wai share her expertise, insights, and tips on how to raise children with an inquiring and growth mindset. Don't miss this opportunity to be motivated and learn from a fellow parent who has been through all and is now committed to support others on their parenting journey. So without further ado, let us welcome Lup Wai. Hi Lup Wai.
Hi everyone. Thanks for having me, Kenneth.
You're welcome. So thank you for making time and also agree in such a, I would say we only just met each other like this month, right? So we have not really talked much, but I would say our first meeting was so good and we really clicked. And also your story really inspired me, especially how you step into entrepreneurship. What was your vision? Why are you doing what you are doing? That really inspired me, and I can't wait to share your story with all the audience, with all the mothers who's aspire to be like you to start their entrepreneurship journey. So before we dive further, right, would you be able to introduce yourself and share with us where are you from and currently what are you doing?
Right, I'm actually from Malaysia. So I was born there, but I'm being brought up here. And what I currently do is I'm doing science coaching to primary school children. So how I get into here is where I started teaching my own children. So that's where I started living the journey of exploring and learning together with the kids. While teaching my children, I also get to teach like other students as well, their friends and families as well. And we do a lot of like exploration around other places. We travel in the past before the COVID. So that's where it get me into the journey of science coaching.
Yeah. So when you talk about when you jump into the science coaching, right, what were you doing before this? Were you working for someone? Were you working in the education space, or what were you doing before this?
I was doing programming. So it's
Hmm.
more in the tech field, tech industry. And after having my first child, I was still working a bit more until pregnant with the second child. And stopped working and started to homeschool my two children at the preschool age. Not
Hmm.
preschool, but younger age, until they're preschool. So the only part that I face having problem with my homeschool is where I don't have other friends for them to interact with.
Hmm.
So while homeschooling, I also send them to like 2-3 hours kind of like play group.
Yep.
And From there, they get to interact with friends and other people. They learn how to communicate. So for child to communicate with the parents is no issue because we are facing them all days, every day. But to talk to strangers is a bit different. Yeah. And I
It's a
noticed
social
that,
skill, right?
correct. I noticed that when they see people, they will be like hiding behind me. Yeah. I know that we always tell our children don't talk to strangers.
So
But
they learn the right thing, right?
yeah. But there are times that, okay, you want them to go and learn how to buy stuff, for example. Yeah. You want them to go and ask questions. That's the part that they do not dare to. You need something, but you don't dare to ask. You want to buy something, but you don't dare to go and approach the cashier. So that is also the short change of that, if you do not allow them to talk to strangers.
Yeah. But I want to dive even deeper because you shared, right, you were in tech. What sort of tech were you in? Into programming or IT support? I don't know. Like
I
maybe you
was
can
doing
share.
programming in Java. Yeah. Java programming for to develop software for companies and for banks as well.
So how long was that? How long were you in that industry
It
doing
was
that?
quite long, like 10 plus years. Yeah.
Because it's really I would say it's really rare, right, to have women in programming, in tech, and you have done it for a decade plus, right?
Yeah.
So what makes you have that switch to decided to forego all this, and furthermore, right, now tech is really, what do you call that? It's the thing that we always talk about with Web3, with AI, with AR and all that. It's all into tech, right? So what made the shift? I know you were saying after your first child, right? But because you have been doing this for 10 over years, I believe it's also rewarding you. It's a good career, good progression and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
So why did you make the decision to step away and homeschool first thing, your first child, and then eventually end up where you are today? Like, what was that transition like?
Actually, it's not like, I would not say that it's a natural kind of choice. Yeah, when I was pregnant with my second child, I was actually retrenched. So with the pregnancy, you can't really find a job when you're carrying something in your oven, right? And that's why since then I just decide, okay, since I don't have a job, I will focus more on my kids. So while I was working, actually, I feel guilty, like neglecting my child.
Okay.
Yeah, anybody in tech industry knows that there's no day, no night kind of job. It's kind of like no day, no night kind of job. So sometimes I don't see my child. Sometimes I travel, I come back. That was the moment where I feel
It hit you,
so
right?
bad. Yeah, I went overseas for like 1 month.
Wow.
Come back, my child called me auntie.
Cannot recognize you, right? Well, how old were they? How old were they back then? 2 years old or?
I only had my first child. I think she was about 1+ years, 1.5 or 2. Yeah, coming back is like, call me auntie. I was like, wow.
So that was that aha moment that hit you really hard, right?
Yeah. So I was like cutting down on my work and things like that. And then I got pregnant with the second one. So the second one, the pregnancy wasn't easy. So when I lost a job, half of me is quite happy because I get to rest. Because pregnant with another child as well is not easy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I'll just take this chance to have a break and also to build back the relationship with my first child.
So what is the age difference between your first and second?
3. They're 3 years apart.
Okay. So that's where the attention is needed on both sides, right? At 3, your elder one will be able to talk and communicate and demand, and then the younger one cannot talk, but you need to spend more time with the younger one, right? Or you being pregnant, right? So you were saying that because you got retrenched, and that became, I would say, an opportunity for you to amend what was lost with your first child, and then you can spend more time with your second, because like you now it's like all the star align and tell you that, okay, now it's time for you to make it good, right? do it good, right? So when that started, right, you say that it started like more like a stay-at-home mom first, or you were already teaching, already coaching?
I was doing stay-at-home mom. Yeah, more on staying at home, focus on the child, looking after them, and making sure that I understand them. So at the same time, I also do self-exploration, like how can I improve my job as a mom, my role as a mom.
Wow.
Yeah. So instead of like just feeding them and providing clothes for them, it's like, no, that's not enough for me.
Yep.
Yeah. So how can I improve myself to be a better mom to my two children? So I always look around like, okay, on the web, now you can find anything on the website. So I was looking like, how can I be more connected with my children? How can I nurture them so that they can become a better person? So I was looking like a little bit further. While learning this, I also teach. Of course, we are all teachers to our children. I also look at how can I improve my teaching so that I'll teach it properly and the right way. Of course, there's no right or wrong way. There's no
Yeah.
answer sheet, but there's always a way that is better than the other. And I also because of that, I went into private teaching as well, just to have a feel like handling different children, different character. How do I handle them? How do I teach? So I started with private enrichment school to teach there. Yeah, it's handling children from 6 months old to like few years old, because my child is at that stage.
Yeah.
Then subsequently, I get opportunity to teach older children. So I run like home art workshop for older kids, like primary school. I feel like, okay, now my kids are in primary school as well. So when they are going older, I will need another skill, how to handle them when they are in teens. And nicely, the opportunity came to me as well. I get to teach in Polytechnic.
Interesting.
So I went to teach and get to communicate with different teenagers, knowing them, understanding them, communicating with them. And that's how I get to know more about parenting and nurturing children with different mindset, different kind of characters. So that's how I get to know more about, okay, how a child now, those new generation, how they think, what they do, and what do they really expect from us, rather than always thinking about what we expect of them.
Yep. Because so it seems like you have been when you move into the teaching, right? You have been teaching for a few years already, is it?
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. How long was that? Like 5 or more than?
If it's talking about from,
I mean, officially teaching other kids until poly student and all that.
well, in that case, it would be like 11 to 12 years.
Wow. Okay. So you have been teaching as like from a teacher standpoint, as a private teacher, right? For that long.
Yeah.
So is there a specific subject, or you just teach any subject along the way?
I was teaching anything.
Yeah, anything that works, right? So you're like a private teacher. So wherever they need teachers, you will just be there to teach.
Correct.
Okay. So what made you started going into just drilling into science?
What makes me drilling into science is because I find it more fun.
Were you a science person back then? Because you're from tech, right? So what makes that shift, or were you passionate about science back then when you were studying?
When I was studying, I quite like science, and I scored pretty well for the science. But of course, after a few years when you start working, you tend to forget most of them. But if you tell me like why I choose science, is like because I get to explore and I get hands-on activities. So you tell me to read and read and read. Yes, we can all read, but whether we can really remember or implement it, there's another story. So with science, is like there's hands-on, there's engagement with the kids. So I get to communicate with the children as well and build a connection while learning and teaching at the same time.
So was there other option instead of just science?
I used to teach all the 4 subjects. Yeah. But as they grow older, I find that I prefer science more. So which is why I focus on the science. Because there's a lot of exploration, and I also love outdoors. So during the outdoors, we can also explore and learn as well.
So you for your case, you also have to go through the normal route of going to NIE to get yourself certified or educated in that, or there's
No, I
another.
didn't go for those like certification, but more on freestyle learning. Yeah,
So you develop your own learning style, and that's where you apply to your students, especially for private, right?
correct. Because everyone has their own unique way of learning, and there's no one template that can fit every child. So depending on, I think the benefits of having teaching so many students and being so freestyle is where you can plug and play your own skill sets to each and every child.
Yeah, I think that also bring us to the topic of this episode, right? Is how to build parent-child connection through curiosity. What are the ways that parents can build this connection through curiosity? Because when you talk about 10 over years, teaching different stuff, and for yourself you're also exploring, right? Because this is a new area that you were not in a part of. You were from tech, and then you move into teaching, and then you start to develop that liking, that fond of really connecting with the students, finding various ways, because it seems that you are a very curious person, and you tend to learn and then apply, and then finding new ways, making it more fun, because you were curious. Okay, how can I make science more fun, more engaging, more interactive, right? So maybe you can share with us, like, why do you think that is good to have to build the connection using curiosity between the parent and child?
Right. While you explore and learn the nature around us, you can also have the same opportunity to bond with your child. Yeah. So when my children were younger, I always explore with them the nature of science, because learning is everywhere. Even without books, without paper, you can still learn. So, like for example, if you're having a meal, you can teach them about condensation, evaporation, and all those things. And all this is like, okay, you get them more connected to what is around you. And also at the same time, you also get them to think and analyze, why is these things happening around us as well, rather than taking things for granted. And having all this skill set, which is really important, which I see it as, because nowadays most of the kids are on gadget.
Yeah.
With gadget, they don't understand what is this thing happening and why is it happening. They just know that, okay, everything can be seen on the videos, and they can just read it out. But given a scenario for them to explore and find out what's going on, they get lost. So it's fine if you get lost on the paper, but it's not fine if you get lost when you're out there. Right?
If you face the real thing, right?
Yeah, when you get stuck somewhere, how do you solve your problem? How do you get out of it? Like if there's a hot weather, do you still put on more clothes, or do you wear lesser?
So there's still some logic inside, right?
Correct. Yeah, like for example, if like I was teaching a child where they have asked them whether have they seen, like, why do their spectacle get foggy? Oh, I don't know. It just get foggy. So it's all this nature they have to know, so that they understand, okay, if I don't want it to be foggy, what should I do? Yeah.
So what should they do?
Of course, their first reaction is to remove the spectacles and things like that. Yeah. So that now that they know that because it's the hot food that is making their spectacle foggy, they know that they have to be further away, or they may want to remove first before they eat, so that when they lift up their head, they can still see. Or when they get out of the car, they know why. Yeah, they don't get blur from the foggy spectacles.
So they get to experience why things works in a certain way, and why things are not in a certain way, right?
Correct.
Rather than reading, understanding, but it's not applicable, right? It's not applicable or understandable because science is everywhere, right? Everywhere we go, everything is about science.
Yes. And also, especially experiment. So during the experiment time, you also test their patient and whether they are willing to solve the problem further. So there are cases where kids will cry and throw tantrum when their experiment doesn't work. But that's also a time that we teach them how to think and how to figure out how to solve that problem. And that's also a time where the parent and child also get to communicate.
Yeah.
Also testing our patient. Okay, how do you think? What should you do? Then, slowly prompt them, ask them questions, and test them further.
But having said that, right, like you mentioned that now parents need to have that patience. But as we know, right, most of our friends, even parents, working adults, right, working parents, they are so caught up with their job, and when they come back, they don't even have the time. So how will they have the patience to really sit their kids down and really bond through curiosity and all that?
Right, like after work. After work is most of the most important time to really like put things aside. I know most of the time after work we are very tired, and also the time where you want to have a rest. You don't want to do any more stuff. But that's also, we have to be conscious that, okay, your job, our job as a parent after work is also the next job for us. How can we build that connection with them?
Yeah.
Or maybe after work is not ideal, right? Maybe just 5-10 minutes should be enough. You don't need 1-2 hours. Otherwise, you can plan weekends. So you block out your time just to communicate with them, maybe ask them how's their day, what problem have they solved. Yeah. So that will also build they feel that you're curious about them, and they know that you want to communicate with them and connect with them. So they feel more connected with you indirectly as well.
Okay, so because when you said that, right, I was thinking, because you were saying that you were teaching for a while, 10 over years, and from what I know, you just started your business, right? So what was that difference between you were teaching and then now running a business? So what is the difference that you see in yourself in moving from that private teacher to where you are now?
I think private teacher that is easier in a way because people are already doing all the things. What you need to do is just focus on teaching, and then after that you can just go home. But running your own business, you have to have more hats to put on your head as well. And at the same time, running your own business it clashes together with your time at home. It's not like you have 9 to 5 job where you can focus on your work, then after that come back, you can just be another role. But working from as a working mom, working on your own business, anytime, any day, you have to do 2 things at one time sometimes. Yeah, and you have to learn how to block your time, how to arrange your timetable as well to cater for both sides.
So would you say that previously when you're a teacher, right, it's more like you are self-employed, and now you have registered a business, you were saying for 2 years, right? So you registered a business to really take it to the next level. Am I right to say that?
Yes. So looking forward to like helping more students to explore and learn, and also to indirectly also to show my kids that if I want to do something, I go and do it, and not just by saying it. Yeah, it's being like a role model to them. Like if you want to do something, make sure you put your effort in and really go and do it, and not just talk about it, but you don't move.
Yeah, and just now before we start, right, actually we have this conversation about parent being role model, right, for our children. And when you talk about curiosity, right, so if the parent themselves, they are not a curious person, right, how can they build the relationship or the connection through curiosity? Because I do know some parents, they are not curious at all, and the reason why they are not curious is because they have no time, or they have no space, or they just don't want to use too much of their brains, right? Because they have been using exhausted from the daily work. So what would you advise, or what would be the alternative for those who might have challenges being curious, right? Or like, how can I be curious? How can I use this curiosity to build? Maybe you can share with us some example that parents who are watching, right, they're able to resonate, be able to do something, right? Maybe for the first step, what would you advise?
Right. Usually busy parents, they don't have the time to think. They don't have the bandwidth to think like, what can I teach my child? Or what can I ask about what can I get my child to learn? So first thing is, of course, there are things that you are doing at home that you can get your child involved. So maybe you're so busy, right? You can outsource some of the tasks to your child to do it. So your child will definitely learn, ask you questions. How do I do that? How do I do this? So that's where you also get to teach and bond with your child, guide them along what they should do. Right? At the same time, that will internally, like indirectly, raise your curiosity, which without you realizing it, that why my child doesn't know. So how can I guide them along and teach them? So that's the curiosity part of it. Yeah. And when you're going out, or maybe before you head out, it's like you'll be lost, right, where you want to go. So you'll be curious, like, where would your child want to go? Or maybe you should be more conscious, how should I get my child involved to think or contribute to the planning? Yeah, and nowadays, like COVID is over, parents will always plan about holidays. So during the holidays, also the best chance where you get to bond, ask questions, and also get to know them better by doing certain activities. Of course, parents will have to be more conscious in a way. You have to raise your consciousness in a way. And like, for example, okay, instead of like usually we decide where to go, maybe you want to put in one more step. Maybe I ask my child, where do they want to go? What do they like to do?
But they will say, I don't know. That's the common thing.
So
I don't know.
if you have, or maybe you're stuck with two choices. You don't know which one to go. Maybe you ask them. I feel like going to this place. I also feel like going to that place. What do you suggest? In that way, you also get to know how does your child think, or what exactly do they like. If they choose certain ways, right, or how do they answer you, you will roughly know what kind of things that they like. Yeah, like food. I feel like eating soup, but I also feel like eating rice. What should I eat? Or what do you like to eat? You want soup, noodle, or you want rice? Or why do you want to choose rice? This is also curiosity. You just want to one step further to understand your child better.
So what are the ways that you are doing it with your kids? I mean, the curiosity. What are the common things that you are doing with your kids? Maybe you can share.
I'm always asking questions.
But like what kind
even
of
like
question?
breakfast. I used to make bento for my children when they were younger. So sometimes initially I'll plan everything. So when they're older, they know how to make decision. I'll just ask them, what do you want to eat tomorrow? What do you want to bring tomorrow to school? So they'll say like, I want bread. I think I don't have bread. What else do you think you want? Okay, maybe you can take a look at the shelf. What kind of food do you like? Then they will tell you, okay, today I want bread with Nutella. Oh, so you like Nutella. Then suddenly maybe the next month they say, I want strawberry jam. I was like, how come today you prefer strawberry jam? Because I'm sick of Nutella, or I want a change of taste. Yeah, so you get to know that, they will get sick of certain food after a period of time. Or they are open to trying out new food. Yeah, and going out like weekends, they will ask, what's the plan for weekend? So what do you plan to do? What do you feel like doing?
So putting the the planning to them. That means to really empower them with the ability to really decide where to go, what to eat, what to do, right?
Correct. Yeah. Because I realized that a lot of time parents ourselves we always make the decision unknowingly.
Like spoon feeding.
Correct. Then I feel like there were a few times where they were just waiting and not doing anything. So that's how I realized that I should be asking questions and ask them what do they want to do, where do they want to go.
Yeah, to really get them started on the process of thinking, deciding, making decision, and this is basically to engage them, right, to make it more interactive. And what would you say, like, during these 2 years, like from like a freelance or even like a self-employed, right, moving to starting your own business, what are the challenges and struggles for you in these 2 years, 3 years of stepping into entrepreneurship? Like, what is that 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 journey like for you?
I think for me, it gets tougher as you get more involved in the business. Because tougher as in it's harder to balance. Because initially when you just started, you still have time for kids and time for the business because it's not so much work on the business side. But as the business get more, you need to handle your business more and you got more work to do. So you feel like I will feel like I'm neglecting this part, right? The kids part. And always finding ways to tweak, like how can I manage both sides so that I don't have that kind of like mom guilt. So mom guilt is really real, and I always have it, even though I feel like okay, I have balanced it well. It still comes back to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That is a very common trait for a lot of mompreneurs. Like I've done this podcast for 100 over episode. There's definitely, whether you are a really successful mompreneur or just starting, right, the mom's guilt is always there. But I realized one thing that a lot of the successful ones says, right, just embrace it and say it's okay. This is what they always say, because a lot of time, especially for young mompreneurs, or they just started running the business, right, when they meet that crossroad, they are always taking it too hard. But frankly speaking, we parents are the one that is making ourselves miserable. Our kids don't really care, right? Don't even know, right? So it's always ourselves making ourselves miserable. So sometimes their advice is always let it go, like the Frozen song, right? Just let it go, right? So there's always a reason why Disney songs or Disney movies is always being put out that way. Yeah. So that this is what a lot of the seasoned or the experienced mompreneurs, or they running a lot of multiple businesses, they say that guilt is really true, but it's only when you start embracing it, then it's not as challenging as before, because you know that it's there. For example, we always have fear, right? It's just that how are you going to manage that fear? How are you going to manage that guilt? So this is something that they have shared. So this is like the challenges that you have. Mom's guilt is there. It's normal, and you don't have to beat yourself up, because when you beat yourself up, the next thing you need to do is just have to move on, just have to move forward and overcome it. So what, other than the mom's guilt, what are the other challenges and struggles you have in terms of running the business?
It's more like all this like small stuff that you need to handle, and you'll be like, oh, your mind is like all messed up. You don't know which one to do first. So you have to be sometimes you have to be very task oriented to get one task done at a time rather than trying to do all at once. I think as a mom, especially when you don't have a helper, you get a lot of things to do and you feel like, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. So your mind is all over the place. So a lot of times we need to sit down and really like meditate. For myself, I meditate and try to calm down so that I can really figure out which one I need to do first, which one I can do it later, or which one I can just outsource to my kids to do it.
Yeah. So so at this point of time, right, like for your case, right, it seems very natural for you to that means to move into starting a business or move into doing things on yourself. Is there any role models or any entrepreneur in your family that inspire you or show you that hey, there's another way out rather than just finding another job or doing a part time, right? Is there a role model in your family that shows you the journey, this option?
My parents are very supportive for what I'm doing. And my mom is a typical housewife where, okay, stay home and look after your
Mm.
kids. So she's happy with that. So my dad is a businessman. Yeah,
Mm.
he has already retired, but I do see him as he doesn't really speak much or teach you directly, but he is more of the do and you watch.
Mm.
So I'm always watching him like what he's doing. No
Mm.
matter how tough the business will be or how hard the life will be, he always move forward rather than, you know,
Dwelling of it.
yeah, dwell on it, like unhappy. I've never seen him lose temper. I've never seen him feeling upset or anything. Yeah.
Mm.
Once he's home, he's like he's another person.
Yeah, he's the daddy.
Yeah. So it's like I'm learning from him, yeah, to be in that kind of mindset. Because business, everybody knows there's a lot of humps and bumps.
Roller coaster, right?
Yeah. So it's never smooth, even though you see everyone is like doing so well. Why am I not? Unknowingly, yeah, we will fall into that trap of comparison.
Mm.
But also, we have to quickly get out of it and move on.
Yep. Yeah, and you touched on a very strong point, right? Which is we always see other people good and we think that they are good. So this is something I personally learned in my journey, and a lot of mompreneurs mention is they always tell me this thing, MYOB, MYOB, mind your own business. Yeah, so because it's quite true, right? Because when you see other people good, that is their business, right? Like, yeah, literally you run your own business, they run their own business. Your business and their business is different. So sometimes we care too much about other people doing good because of our own self. We don't think that we are doing a good job. We are always, like you mentioned, fall into the trap of comparing also. And that is a very typical employee mindset. And as an entrepreneur, as a business person, we should be um, we should not be in that mindset. We should not be even thinking about comparing because I'm selling apple, you're selling orange. How can we be the same, right? And furthermore, if let's say you are selling durian even further, why am I comparing, right? Yours is seasonal fruit, mine is not, mine is evergreen. So a lot of time we fall into the trap, and as entrepreneur, as mother, right? We always compare. Oh, our kid is like that. Or PSL is very well. Oh, our PSL, our kids, PSL not good. Or my neighbor's kid is done has done very well. So we always fall into that trap, especially for mothers, because we have been comparing. We have been trying to how should I put it, to really help our kids to be better. That's where there's always a comparison. But in entrepreneurship is another whole world altogether, is another world to space together. So that's why I see a lot of mothers are struggling, like for your case up, like at this point of time, have you ever consulted your dad for any business advice or anything that you could do better in your business, or is still very part of very much in the very beginning?
It's more of like because his and my field is very different. And what usually the advice that he give is more of like like okay, like what you say, let it go
Mm.
or move forward.
Mm.
All right. So maybe you want to sit down and think about it. They kind of like very big answer that
Mm. Mm.
that makes you that allows you to think rather
Mm.
than he give you the answer what
Yep,
to do
yep.
with it. Yeah.
Mm-mm. Yeah, so he's basically uh, teaching you how to fish rather than
Fishing
giving
for
you
me.
the rod,
Yeah.
or fishing for you, or giving you the rod. I think is a bit like you say big, right? In fact, like for my case, I've been running my business for past 8 years. It sounds big for a lot of people in the beginning, and in fact, it's very simple. In business, it's just very simple. It's not that hard, right? Because a lot of time, if you plan to fail, you fail. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So this is very much in business, especially when I see uh, businessmen, entrepreneur, successful entrepreneur. They always spend a lot of time planning before they do anything, because they would have thought of all scenarios, before they even jump into it. Yeah. So other than all this, the guilt and also the time, and as you grow your business, right, you're finding that it's hard to balance. So any other challenges and struggles that you're facing?
Mm, sometimes I will have those like imposter syndrome. It's like, oh, things are not working. Am I because I'm not fitted to do this? Or
Mm,
am I not suitable to do certain things? So I have to also like get rid of that kind of thoughts. Yeah,
mm,
it's like your child didn't score well. Why you don't know? Teach you before. It's like, that kind of feeling. It's like people taught me, or I have already read it before. How come I still can't do it or can't get it?
mm,
So you will like, that's why people always tell you don't say that to the child, because we are also doing that to ourselves, and it
yep.
bring our confidence level down.
Mm,
So that's a struggle that I have to overcome, and learn the way of how to be more resilient and more, resourceful to find ways rather than
mm,
give up that easily.
mm,
Yeah, I think entrepreneurship is like, especially mompreneur, because you need to handle so many things. And
mm.
when one thing doesn't work, you feel very
Yeah.
very angry or frustrated,
Mm,
and you feel like, am I good enough? Yeah, you have that thoughts coming in. Am I good enough? Just like how you're nag at your child, and then suddenly your child shout back at you, I hate you. Am I good enough? Am I a bad mom? Yeah.
mm, mm. Yeah, I think like I think it's very important for a lot of mothers who have not started a business and want to start a business. Hearing from your struggles, your challenges, I think is like a reminder, right? Because you are going through it. That's why it is very real. It's happening. Rather than I interview someone who's have already been successful, this thing may not occur, but you are in the journey. So it's also giving the mothers who wants to start a business and thinking of starting a business, or also in the right in the right process as you, right? They are going through all these struggles. They are finding ways to overcome it. um i would say I would say that entrepreneurship, right, it's not just you doing the business. It's also investing in yourself, of personal development, of discovering yourself. Like you know that you will have this imposter syndrome. So what are you going to do to overcome this imposter syndrome? And that's where you have to learn more about yourself. Why are you feeling all this? So there's various ways that you can do. Either you go and do an assessment to find out who you are, right? Like for my case, I have assessment for my mompreneurs or my mentee, for them to do, so that they can know more about themselves, who they are, what kind of entrepreneur they are. Like I would think was the 2 days ago, I met another mompreneur, and I was telling her, hey, in fact, have this assessment, right? When you do this assessment, there's a profile of entrepreneur. Once you do it, you will know what kind of entrepreneur you are. So she did it. She realized that, oh, I'm an accumulator, which is very rare. And accumulator, you may not be able to resonate with a lot of people out there, and you need to find another partner, or if you need to find another, you need to find role models where this assessment will tell you, oh, who will be the good accumulator for you to follow, the famous people. Like for my case, my entrepreneur profile is the star. So the entrepreneur that's relating to that profile, right, the star, right, is Oprah Winfrey, Ellen DeGeneres, Larry King. And when I
Wow.
when I read it, I realized that three of them have one common thing. They are podcast hosts. They are talk show hosts. They have their own talk show. And that's why I'm doing this. And I only discovered it after I've done 17 episodes of my podcast. And that's why I persist on, because I know what kind of entrepreneur I am. And then I just follow the footsteps of all these people that have been there, done that. So to overcome imposter syndrome is to find a role model that is doing what you want to do or you aspire to do, and then follow. Why you are doubting yourself? Because you are not sure where you are going. You're not sure whether you are doing the right thing or not. But once you have a role model, once you have like the path, right, to tell you that, okay, I'm going to be the next Larry King, I'm going to be the next Gary Vee, I'm not going to be the next Lee Kuan Yew, for example, then I just go and buy their books, read about their story, and I say, oh, okay, I can resonate, right? So that's why for me, after I realized that I am these are all my role models, I start to study them, I start to understand, I start to buy their books, to really research them, study them, follow what they do, put myself in their shoes, right? So for mothers who have this imposter syndrome, it's really normal, because you do not know where you're going. But once you know your end goal, right, or your destination, like driving, once your GPS is you have set from point A, you know where's your point B, everything is clear. Anybody tell you that, oh, Kenneth, you are not going the wrong way? No, no, no. I already know where's my destination. You don't have to tell me where. But when I don't have a destination, right, when people say, hey, Kenneth, you should go see. Should I go see? Am I going the right way? Yeah, you start to doubt yourself. So this is where the imposter syndrome come in. So knowing where you are and finding more about yourself through assessment, you could use MBTI, you could use like bank code, which I use it very often. We was taught by my mentor. There's also numerology. There's also, like, if you want to go into 八字 metaphysics, there's a lot of ways to really discover yourself. Once you know yourself more, you will have that end goal, you have that destination. And entrepreneurship is all about personal development, self-development, and growing. Yeah. Because this is like when I was running my business on the second year, that's where I realized that I need to build, I need to develop, I need to learn more about myself. What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And if I can outsource, I will outsource. If not, I can find another partner that can complement me. So that's why all this assessment is very important, because once you know yourself, you know who you can partner with, and what are your weaknesses, whether you can outsource. Like, for example, like I run my own marketing agency, and for mothers, right, a lot of time they don't have time. They don't have time to study the latest trend. Should I be on TikTok? Should I be on Instagram? Should I do Reels and all that? So instead of them studying it, right, they can always outsource to me, right? So that I can help them, and because I understand mothers more, and that's where I can help them to market better to their target audience better, so that they can have more time for their business, to run the operation, to run the roadshow, to run whatever they need to, customer service. Yeah. So I hope that helps, and also help those who are listening to the podcast.
Yes, that's very helpful. Thank you so much.
No problem. Yeah, because this is a journey, right? And you mentioned it's a very lonely journey also.
Yeah.
You're always alone. You're always doing it yourself, and you might not be able to find another science coach like you doing what you're doing, or running a business like you. So it's always good. I think I've also sent you some references, right? That of maybe your competitor or references, so that you can follow. Yeah, so these are also very good ways for you to find out more. So what would you say, like, because time really flies, I really would like to have more time with you to ask you more questions. What would be your last advice for those who want to start business, or thinking of balancing motherhood and business? What would be your last advice for them?
I would say for those who want to, like, don't know whether to start or not, give it a try. Yeah, because if you don't give it a try, you never know how it goes. And as a entrepreneur, it's a journey where you have a lot of self-discovery. I think along this journey, I discovered a lot about myself, and also to improve myself as I grow. And any failure that you encounter, you don't see it as a negative thing anymore. You're not less afraid of failure, because you know that that's a learning journey for you. And for balancing between family and business, it's definitely up to your own balancing machine or
Yeah.
your weight. Yeah, it's how you want to weigh it or how you want to balance it. Because
Mm.
everybody's balance machine is different.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree with that because this is also what I share with a lot of mothers. Because every time when we talk about balance, right, everyone of us will be thinking like science, right, 50-50, right? But in life, balancing is not about 50-50. For example, mine is 70 family, 30 business, 30 work. And if I want 30% to be work, right, I need to develop system, processes, or even hire a team so that I can work lesser, then I can spend more time with my family. But for my wife, it's the reverse. Why? Because she get more satisfaction from work. It's not that she don't like being a mom, but she get more. She's happier, and when she's happier, she can attend to the kids more. Yeah.
Mm.
So and there's no right or wrong. Ultimately, we ourselves we have just have to audit what is our level of happiness. Because I realized after interviewing all the mompreneurs, I realized the level of balance, right, or have a good balance, right, is your happiness level, right?
Yep.
When you are happy, it's already that balance. When you're not happy, you're not balanced. That's
Correct.
all, right? Whether you have too much family time or you have too much work, if you're not happy, that will be an indicator that it's not balanced, right? As long as you're not happy. So once you're happy, everybody is happy. Your spouse is happy, your children is happy, your in-laws are happy, everybody's happy. That's where the harmony come, right? So thanks a lot, Lup Wai, for sharing all your journey, how you come into this entrepreneurship, how you get started from tech, moving into teaching, and now starting your business. Definitely, there's a lot. It's going to be a journey, and what we always call is a marathon, right? It's going to be you need to be consistent, you need to be steady, and then ultimately you'll be able to finish the race, right? And thanks a lot for making time. And for those who are watching Mompreneur Space Live Show today, we have Lup Wai, and she's a new friend to me, and definitely I believe that what she has for the future, especially in her business, to really educate children in a more interactive way, in the preparing them for the future. This is what I believe in. And if you guys are interested to connect with her, you can check out her these are her website. So now maybe you can share with the audience how can they get connected with you.
Yep. I think a lot of parents nowadays are a lot of us are on Instagram. So you can go to my Lup Wai Parent Whisperer Instagram to connect with me, to DM me, or my website. But usually website is just for reading purposes. Usually. Yeah. So Instagram, DM. Yeah, I'll reply.
Good. Yeah. So for those parents who want to connected with Lup Wai, to find out more how you can get connected with your kids through curiosity or other methods, right? Just reach out to her on Instagram, and she would love to have you and connect with you. So once again, thanks Lup Wai for sharing with us and being on the show. Really looking forward to have you onto the show again to share even more, especially on your journey in years to come. So thanks everyone for watching, and I'm Kenneth here. Thank you for watching Mompreneur Space Live Show, and I will see you guys next week.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Lup Wai. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Bye
Bye.
bye.